All right, where are we? We are here and now. God, it looks so big on this picture. Neither one of my guests have decided to sign on yet, so I'm going to tap dance for a few minutes here while Kim and Andrea log in. But I think we really have two cool stories for you guys today. And one's going to be seller represented, one's going to be buyer represented. And it's just going to be literally real life real estate today. And this is stuff that you guys are dealing with. And some of it's just crazy. Here's Kim. Except she moved. So Kim, you'll have to accept the panelist. And then Andrea, here she is. Promote to panelist. Cool. Kim is in an Uber, so she said she's not going to turn her camera on, but I don't know why. She's not driving, but either way, that is fine. So let Andrea join the room. I decided I was going to let Andrea go first. Kim, you got your picture up. All right. I love it. Andrea, we need to work to get your picture up, but it's okay. You're going to actually get your camera on, I think. Cool. Well, let's start with Andrea. 61. We're getting more attendance than we did for the mastermind, so that makes me happy. Andrea, you're muted. Oh, I got to make you close. I'm sorry. My bad. Okay, you guys are both should be able to speak now. Kim, you want to give me a sound check just for fun?
Morning. I was trying to put my camera on.
You're enabled.
Yeah, I don't know.
There you go.
There we go.
You
Good
got it.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What a beautiful weekend, huh?
Yeah, it was gorgeous this
Oh my
weekend.
God, the humidity was low. There was a cloud in the sky, just absolutely gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Let's jump right in. You had a fun experience that is just kind of batshit crazy. So, there's a saying, and I don't like the saying, but I'm going to repeat the saying, the buyers are liars.
Yeah.
And they're really not, but they act like liars sometimes. Let's go and tell your story. So you get a call. How did you get the call? Where did it come from? What happened?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So basically, it was a lead that came through on a new property that went live that day. I got a call saying they wanted to see the property immediately. I mentioned, okay, I can show you the property. Of course, are you currently working with an agent? No, absolutely, not working, not committed to anyone, blah, blah, blah. So I said, okay, so we proceeded to see the property that day, went to the property. They were very adamant that they were just browsing and they were not going to put an offer in on the property, just weighing their options.
So you asked the
Yeah.
question, are they working with an agent? They said no. And they said just browsing.
Yeah, yeah. Which I kind of honestly had a feeling that they had been out and about. They had just recently sold their property. They were looking around. Like I said, they were very adamant that they were just browsing, kind of like put up a shield with me. So I was like, okay, I understand. That's perfect. Whether it's this house or another, I love the opportunity. I mentioned all that to them, just kind of went through the property. We were there for a good 30 minutes, so I could tell that they were very interested in the property. By the time that the 30 minutes were up and I was kind of warming up to them, telling them about how my representation and things like that, and giving me the opportunity, kind of smoothly going through it. By the end, they wanted to put in a offer on the property, which we did put an offer on the property that evening. And we contracted the next day. So we were all contracted, ready to go the next day. It
Okay,
was.
let me back up. I want to clarify some points. Do you remember where the lead came from?
I believe that might have been an Op City, Up City.
So it came from Op City and you just handed, it wasn't your listing.
No,
Okay.
I don't believe so. No, that one wasn't my listing. That was
So they're shopping on Op City. They just sold their other house, which means they probably had another agent. They're putting up shields with you, which is normal real life real estate. They warmed up with you. You started demonstrating value. right?
Mhm.
They turn
Yeah.
it 180 degrees and want an offer now, and you do
Mhm.
your magic, you write it off as acceptable. Did you have to
Mhm.
counter it back and forth at all?
Nope, we went in, list price, didn't ask for anything, you know, and they accepted.
Cool. All right.
Yeah,
So great job on your part.
thank you.
Now, where's the irony come in?
So basically, you know, talk to listing agent title, 24 hours goes by, the next following day, I get a call from another agent, young fellow, I could tell, basically wanted to know if I was working and name my client. And I'm like, yes, excuse me, you know, may I ask what's this in regards to? And basically he asked me if I had a buyer brokerage agreement signed. And I said, okay, who am I speaking with? And then he introduced himself. And basically, if we had a buyer broker agreement signed, that it was going to be a different conversation, as he stated. So I explained, may I ask what this in reference to? And that's when he went on to say that he had been working with the client. He had one signed. And I said, okay, I understand. I said, can you please send me that? You know, let's work through this. And yes, I am working with them. And yes, we are executed. I said, and I explained the situation. He was, his nose was a little out of joint. And I explained to him, you know, this is broker to broker type of thing. Send me the email and, you know, we'll take care of this type of thing. And he did send me the email, which I did forward on to yourself. And basically on the buyer broker agreement, what which covered us, to make a long story short, is he put in an amount. Basically, he went up to a purchase price was 330. So we ended up being covered anyways, but it didn't go too far because we contracted at 335. So we were covered anyways, but it was just the way he went about it. And I mean, I could tell he was a new agent, I found out, which the other agents in the company at his brokerage, you know, they were guiding him correctly, having him fill out the form. You know, I just next time bump it up a little bit, you know, cover a little bit. But he did go as far as reach out to the listing agent. He reached out to the title company, who reached out to me, and the listing agent talked to their broker and sided in the same with us about being the procurable cause and all that. But yeah, so it could have been more of, you know, a situation, but it wasn't, because again, we were outside of that price point. Also, we found out that the other agent was actually the future son-in-law of my client. So the listing agent and I kind of giggled like, oh, that's going to be interesting Christmases. So yeah, but it didn't go any further. I met with my clients. I never even brought it up. It actually was brought up, honestly, at the closing table. The title agent, she actually said to me, she goes, oh, she looked at me, she goes, you're the agent that we had the situation with. And I said, yeah, my clients just looked at me and I said, you know, I never mentioned this to you. I don't even know if you're aware of it. And they said, yes. They said the poor daughter, their daughter got holy hell for it. And I just kind of laughed, you know, I didn't laugh out loud, but I said to myself, I got to tell him, I said, well, his brokerage was guiding him correctly. That's why I found out he was a new agent. I said, but future reference, honestly, I would bump up the price, because what he did, and I told him, and I remember the father-in-law looked at me and he's like, thank you. Like he thanked me, because the daughter, in other words, it wasn't blame for the daughter now. He did himself, he crushed himself with you know, that price. So
Well, I did go back and reread the buyer broker agreement. And
mm-hmm.
we really didn't get off because of that.
Right.
Because you put a price range in,
Yeah.
or any other price that's agreeable to buyer.
Oh, it did say that?
But it does say that. So
Oh.
Chris just chatted in the chat.
Mm.
So you did everything right. No
Mm-hmm.
criticism at all. You asked them if they were working with another agent and they said
Yeah.
no.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But if this had gone differently,
Mm-hmm.
then you, if this is after July, mid-July, and you had to sign a buyer broker agreement with them and they had one with him, they'd be in a problem because they'd have to pay two buyer's agent commissions.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yeah.
that's going to be sticky. So that's why I want to bring these real life real estate situations
Mm-hmm.
to you, because honestly, these buyers lied a whole bunch of different times.
They
But,
do. Mhm.
but I've got the saying I used to use that when you're in buyer heat, get out of the way. Now they were in buyer heat, but they didn't want you to know it, right? So they were misguiding you, telling you falsehoods. But then you just stayed with them and you built rapport and they trusted you and that house was there and they liked it and you got a full price offer with no complaints and fantastic job.
Yeah,
But
yeah, we closed it. We were good to go. But that's good to know about the price. So, okay, we'll keep that in mind. I was gonna say something and I forgot what it
so he
was.
never showed the house, so it could have been a procuring cause situation.
Yeah, because even on Op City, I mean, honestly, I don't know about other agents, but sometimes we'll get leads that literally say they're currently working with an agent. However, they're open to work with, right, another agent type of thing. So especially on leads, I always ask, are you currently working with an agent? And I remember when I arrived, I told them, I said, if I show you, just so you know, if I show you this house, no matter who, if you know, someone else, you're working with me. If you go, and I tell them that because, I don't want to work with anyone that doesn't want to work with me anyways, right? So, but yeah, it's going to be interesting, I think, with this.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all.
So, and Chris just chatted in again, buyer broker agreement technically does away with procuring cause. Because if you're under contract with me as a buyer and you buy a house with me or another agent, I get a commission. I showed it as long as I showed it to you.
Okay, so you're saying if the buyer agreement's signed and we're still, if this situation procurable clause, then I wouldn't, then they don't go after, you're not the procurable clause? Is that what you're saying? Oh, you are.
Procuring cause.
Procuring clause, yeah.
The buyer broker agreement is very clear.
Yeah.
If you have a buyer broker agreement with me and I show you houses during the term of that agreement, if you buy one of those houses, I'm the agent.
Oh, wow.
So if another agent comes and shows the house after you,
After.
too bad, so sad, you're the agent. Now the buyer can fire you or terminate your relationship and go look at other houses with another agent after they sign up.
Right.
But they can't go back and buy a house that you showed them.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
really going to protect us well. And I want to make sure you guys
Yeah.
understand.
Okay, that's
Right?
good to know.
So you did a good job. And I think you brought up the real major point is you asked them, are you working with another agent?
Yes.
And maybe we got to ask that going forward more times. Because if they did have a buyer broker agreement, we would have to feel pretty bad to make them pay 2 commissions.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough one. So cool. Well, thank you very much for sharing your story.
You're
I think
welcome. Thank you.
look at all, I mean, they called you on the lead. They set an appointment. They showed them a house. They said they were not working with another agent. They said they weren't going to buy today. And then they stayed in the house for 30 minutes. They felt comfortable with you. They wrote a contract. They're under contract. And then you find out 2 days later, they got a buyer broker agreement with another agent. Just wop, 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 wop. And if it's
Yeah,
happening to you, guess what, guys? It's happening to you too, right?
absolutely.
Once the change happens in July, what will happen if buyer lies and signs? The buyer is signing a contract with 2 different brokers, so they got to pay 2 different brokers. Just like a seller would sign a listing with me and a listing with Andrea, he'd owe both of us a commission, both brokerages. So yeah, buyers got to be educated, and that's where it's going to become very important for us to make sure we're doing that. And we are working hard to make that happen for you guys. Good job. I love the interaction. Andrea, thank you very much. I told you we'd do about 15 minutes, and that worked out perfect.
Thank you. Have a good
Okay.
day.
Here again, thumbs up from everybody on the call. Ms. Hodgskin, are you around? We're going to switch gears today. We're going to talk about sellers now. But I need you to unmute. Kim. There we go.
Hi.
Hi. All right, let me give some background to this story. So a long, long time ago, I knew a couple, Mark Eichenholz, I think his name was. Anyway, Mark was not a friend, an acquaintance. And I remember he lived on Gulf Island Drive and his wife died of cancer. It was terrible. Anyway, I met him in the grocery store a couple of years later and he was remarried and he moved to Mirror Bay. And his house has been on the market for a while. It's a beautiful home. And Kim is his agent. So he goes into his archives and remembers my name and he calls me and says he's got some ideas on how to get his house sold. He wants to talk to the broker. So he calls me. Well, I call Kim because I'm never going to walk into a situation like that when it's cold. And I said, Kim, what's going on with this guy? So give us some background on this guy. He was on the market with another company before us.
They just didn't do. They say we're going to do it for the 7 to be able to leave early as it was possible.
Kim, are you with us or?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
I'm sorry.
So give us some background on the seller. He was listed with another company for how long and what price?
For almost 6 months, and he was at 1.3.
Okay, so he's on the market for 6 months at 1.3 million and it doesn't sell, and other homes are selling around it. And then he lists with you, and your listing agreement is coming to an end.
Correct.
And then you and I spoke about it, and you said, I'm not willing to spend any more money. The guy's kind of wacky. There's cameras on. Tell us some of the quirks. There's cameras on the house. There's a gun in the bureau. It's a vacant house.
Yeah, no, he's got cameras all over the place. He has, he keeps the upstairs bonus room locked at all times. There was a gun in the closet. You know, he just kind of stalks. So when you're there, you have to be very careful of, you know, what you say and do. And if I leave a light on in the garage, for instance, I will get a text from him at like midnight, light on at my house. So not the most pleasant person. Now, his wife, on the other hand, is just been gorgeous and very sweet to work with, who, by the way, is also a realtor.
Real life real estate, guys.
Right? So anyway, so when I took the listing, we put a new roof on, 2 new AC units, and priced it appropriately, which was at $1,090,000.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's been on the market with 81 other homes in the neighborhood in Mirror Bay for 6 months. They extended my listing for 30 days, and now it's about to end. And that's when you heard from him.
Mm-hmm. So I heard from him, and we had a long conversation, and I used the words that Chris and I always use. If you've been on the market for 6 months and you're not sold, you're not at market price. And so we got to do something different, right? And I remember I know this guy from years back, and he knows my reputation and stuff like that. So it was helpful that he knew I was shooting straight with him, right? But the big thing that you told me, well, this is what I want the agents to hear, because you did such a great job of filling me in on what a great job you did for him.
Okay.
You knew the stats, right? How many
Yes.
showings there were, what buyers bought. Tell us some of that stuff.
So when you called me and asked me what was going on, of course, I'm very aware. I send out a report to all of my sellers every 2 weeks. And so when you called me, I was a little agitated with the whole situation. And I just shared with you, hey, I've shown the house 26 times.
And you accompany every showing.
Every showing except for maybe 3, which I had Tenley, who backs me up. She was there in my behalf. And we've lost 4 sales in Mirror Bay in that price point. But all 4 of those sales were on the canal with the pool. He's on the lagoon, no pool.
Right. So of 26 people who looked at the house, only 4 of the people bought a house in Mirror Bay.
Correct. Yep.
So that means you had 22 showings that did not pan out to anything.
Correct.
It's a lot of work, guys, especially when you're showing up and showing the house and demonstrating features and benefits, because this is a 3,600 square foot, very, very well appointed home.
And many times I will take the clients and their realtors, if they're not from the area, I will take them up to the clubhouse so they can see the lifestyle of Mirror Bay and understand what they're getting from, you know, their CDD fees, etc. So it's not just go show up for 15 minutes. It's always an hour plus.
Well, because you're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Right. And then so he decided to give you a 30-day extension, which is almost like a slap in the face, right?
Correct.
And you told me, I'm not willing to spend any more. This guy's a kook in the first place. I'm not willing to spend any more time with this, and certainly not spend any more money for a 30-day extension, which is now 20 days left. So I'm now backed up with information, right? I know Kim, I know her reputation, I know her success record in Mirror Bay. I know the seller a little bit. I know there's been 26 showings, only 4 of them bought. Only 4 of the people bought, and they all bought different properties. They bought canal front, not lagoon front, and they all wanted pools. A pool is a big deal in today's market. So if you get a listing with a pool, they sell faster than listings without pools, because we're in Florida. And what time of the year is it? Springtime coming into summer, right? Pools become very important. So I get the joy of calling this guy up, and we hashtag old stuff together and build some rapport, right? Just like we talk about. I know his quirks and his personality. And so after we warm up, I hit him between the eyes and I said, Mark, just the fact that you've been on the market for 6 months with 2 brokerages and you haven't sold, the market's talking to you. We got to do something different. And I educated him on how a price reduction repositions the property, and even changing photos around and changing descriptions, making it fresher, do different things. So long story short, because I was so proud of Kim and what she had done, knowing the showings, accompanying the showings,
Right.
demonstrating the showings, I was able to say, look, there's no sense. There's really only 3 agents do a lot of business in Mirror Bay. It's Kim, I'm drawing a blank, but there's 3. And you're not going to get any better service than what we're doing, because there's something wrong with your property. The people are looking at it, but they're not buying. So I said, here's what I recommend. Number 1, give Kim a 90-day extension. Because right now she's almost like, I'm not willing to invest any more time or money for a 30-day extension with a listing that's been on the market for 6 months already. It doesn't make any sense. And so I think he agreed to that.
Yeah, he did.
And then I said, now we got to talk about price reductions. And I said, every time you do a price reduction, it's going to refresh your property. So even if we just do little ones, you're at $1,090,000 now, let's drop it to $1,080,000. Let's wait 2 weeks. If that doesn't get us any attention, let's drop to $1,070,000. Let's wait 2 weeks. If that doesn't drop, we'll drop to $1,060,000 and we'll set a floor to $1,050,000. Because really, if you look at the comps, he's only at $327 a foot, which is on market for what things are selling for there. And
Right.
Lauren, that's not other people on the call. That's people in Kim's car.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Because this is the webinar room, so nobody else can talk unless I give them permissions. So
Yeah.
that's how I ended the call with him after about 30 minutes of freshening up. So what happened?
So we ended up reducing the price for $5,000. So we're down to $1,085,000, and also giving a $5,000 closing cost credit to the buyers.
Okay.
And then within 2 weeks, if we don't have any movement, we're going to do a $10,000 reduction per your suggestion.
Mm-hmm. Good. And we offered him something in exchange.
We're going to do the Zillow Premier listing.
Showcase Plus.
Yeah, the
Right.
showcase.
Because for a 20-day extension, we're willing to spend the money. Now, this is over $1 million listing, so the commission is pretty strong. We don't want to lose it. But we also need the seller to play with us. I mean, there's nothing we could say about the house. It's gorgeous. It's empty. It's clean. It's spotless. It's got new appliances. It's got new air conditioners. It's got a new roof. It's a 20-year-old house. Now it looks like a brand new house. He put all new flooring in. So now by moving it consciously, it changes the whole world around it.
They
Right?
just should be very aware of what.
Because now it's going to start lowering price, and people are start looking at it now. And that's our ultimate goal. And then hopefully you'll get some leads off the Zillow token, because the leads can come to you directly, which would be even better than having to go show it with an agent.
That's the goal.
That is the goal.
Yes.
So anything else you'd like to share about that? Because it really.
No, I just appreciate you and jumping in and talking to me before the client. And I just appreciate my relationship with you and the teamwork.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being so diligent. Guys, I wish you'd all act like him on this. Showing your listings personally is kind of what they're hiring you to do, right? Especially if it's a fancy house.
Yes.
Can we share the address? Yeah, what's the address?
It's 5227 Brighton Shore.
5227 Brighton Shore Drive in Apollo Beach. That was Tammy. Tammy lives here at Apollo Beach now. She just moved. She's with the Roman Group.
Okay.
So she said, I'll help you market the house. And you guys know you have a tool, right? Your Moxie, Tammy, you can go into Moxie, find 5227 Brighton Shore, and you can claim it. And you can post it, you can make flyers on it, you can do whatever you want, and it all come and you back to your Moxie. So that's pretty cool. Yes, sir. You got it. I like it. Cool. So the fact that you knew the stats of how many showings it had, and you followed up with the other agents. That's the other thing you and I talked about. It's not just you go show the house for an hour, then you wait and you call the other agent back and you get feedback and you feed the feedback back to the seller, right? And
yes, and that was a big deal with them, as it is all sellers, but maybe I've spoiled them somewhat, because sometimes it would be 30 minutes, 45 minutes, how'd the showing go, what's going on? So I try my best to get them feedback same day, if not within 24 hours, but we all know sometimes that's not the easiest when you're dealing with other realtors.
Correct. So the lesson I wanted people to take away from is, showing the house, demonstrating features and benefits, following up, giving feedback to the seller. That was so much easier for me to defend and help you out, because I've had other situations where I'm like, oh shit, I wouldn't hire this agent either. And so I want to thank you for being so diligent doing that, and I wanted to share your story with the rest of the agents as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Craig.
Cool. Enjoy your Uber ride.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
right,
Andrea,
bye.
I see you're still online. Thank you too. I hope you guys like this impressive job, Kim, says Kimberly.
Thank you.
So that's it. So the second series of real life real estate. So I've asked all the managers that when you guys come with questions, if you think it's a uncanny or unique situation or something's different we can learn from, we want you to share it with us, because I think we'll all learn together. I mean, and both of our agents did a fantastic job. I'm not picking on anybody, right? Andrea dropped what she was doing, made the showing, asked if they were working with another agent, and they just bold-faced lied to her. But it all worked out well in the end, but that could have had a different outcome. And Kim, once again, just diligence on the seller side. So that's all I got for you this morning. If you guys like this, send me a note and I'll keep it going. If not, we'll talk later. Managers, I'll see you guys at 11 o'clock. Thank you.